Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to a new episode of the devrel show. If I'm not mistaken, it's episode 21, which is always amazing me. The more episode I do, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, that show, it's still going on. And I still love doing it because I have amazing guests. And today is no different. I have Sam Julien. How is life?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Fred. Thanks for having me on here. Things are awesome, and yeah, just a beautiful Thursday over in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, it's here for whatever reason. It's been a week. Like I live in Canada and near Montreal in the east of Canada, and it's been a week that like it's a little bit colder here. I feel like we're changing season right away, but it often does that. Like in a couple of days, we're gonna go back to like to summer weather, but right now it's a little bit chilly outside, but it's still a beautiful day because there's the devrel show. So it needs to be a beautiful day. My desk is a little bit sticky. I just like dropped my glass of flavored water on my desk. So if you see me during the show, like trying to unstuck myself, folks, it's because my desk is a little bit sticky. But with that in mind, hey, we have Hijabi Coder who say hi. Thanks for joining us for
Oh,
the
nice.
Devrel show. Always amazing. You'll see some banner during the show. If you have any questions during the show, let us know. If you just want to say I love that too. I mean, I know that people are watching. I have a counter at the top of the screen from StreamYard, which is the platform I'm using. But with that said, it's still nice to have people just say just hi, just hello, even if you don't have any question or comments about what we're going to talk about today. And really happy to have you here, Sam. Thanks for joining the show. We know, quote unquote, know each other for a couple of years. Like I feel like we're like connected on LinkedIn for forever, following each other on Twitter. We didn't met in person, unless I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
I don't think we've met in person yet. I
No.
don't think
So
so.
we need
But
to
it's hard when you're
remediate
in
that.
DevRel. You meet a lot of people, and so
I know.
over the years, it's easy to have it wash away.
I know, and the thing with me is, I struggle with names and sometimes faces, and just like meeting, as you said, meeting so many people, sometimes it's difficult. And one of the things that it's always done in good faith, but annoy me a little bit is like when people they kind of like apologize for me not remembering them. Like when people are like, "Hey, Fred," I'm like, "Hey, you," and I'm not subtle in my way of like being me. So people they
Yeah.
kind of know when I don't remember them, and it's never personal. It's just like unless we spend like an hour having fun, having like a coffee, drink, dinners, whatever. I talk to so many people that like there's a chance that I don't remember. And again, it's not personal, especially because I have a bad memory for a name and stuff. And people are like, "Oh no, it's fine, Fred. You talk to a lot of people. It's normal." I'm like, "Yeah, thank you, but no." Like I wish I would remember your name. I wish I would remember everybody I talked to. But as you said, it's developer relations, developer advocate role. It's not always easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have a couple nerdy. Hey there. Hey there. Hello. Thanks for joining the show. And EJB Coders, I just discovered this channel. Happy that you discovered it. Hopefully, you're going to like that. Nice series of interviews, Fred. Looking forward to listening to a few later. Yeah, hopefully, you're going to enjoy that as much as I enjoy doing those. But with that said, I just said, like, I know, quote unquote, Sam. I guess like so many people know you, but for the small chunk of number that have no idea who are you, Sam?
So yeah, I'm Sam Julien. I've been in tech for about a decade, and within that, have been in developer relations for about six or so years. Um, I was a self-taught full stack developer, transitioned from finance back in 2013 or 14, and transitioned doing C# and JavaScript, and then got into DevRel by making courses on Angular, and that got the attention of Auth0. And so then I joined Auth0 in 2018, first in content, then in devrel, then became the devrel manager, then became the director of devrel. And so I was there for about coming up on 6 years, and then joined writer in April of this year. And then I think a lot of folks might know me from my book, Getting Started in Developer Relations. I wrote that a few years ago, and it's still going strong. People are actually just got an email yesterday from someone who just read it for the first time and asked me a couple questions and stuff. So that's probably where a lot of people know me from. But yeah, also do courses on Egghead, have some courses on there about Angular and AWS and things like that. So yeah.
Doing a lot of stuff, man. Doing a lot of stuff. I love that. Actually, I was going to ask you some question about like your parkour and like how you end up like in devrel, and you kind of like answered a little bit that question. But if you want to share, if it's not too personal, I would be curious. Like you had a previous career that was not tech related. You said you were working in finance. Like what was the decision between like, hey, moving from finance to tech about 10 years ago? How did you arrive to that?
Yeah, so I had been working in finance. I was on the track to being a financial advisor. I had done a few years of financial services and sales and that kind of thing, and then I was working in operations at a brokerage, doing what was called advisor services, where I was working with fee-only financial planners and helping them use a platform and that kind of thing. And the more I kind of went down the road in finance, the more I just kind of felt like it wasn't what I really wanted. I think part of that was I was young, and so I had this very idealistic view of what the financial planning world would look like, and how I was going to impact people and that kind of thing. And the further I got into it, and the more I realized that it was more of a sort of the only way you could really make a living was doing sort of like wealth management, and I wasn't that interested in that. I really wanted to kind of help more um, sort of the usual people that I felt like were like me, and so there was also an element of it that kind of the further you go, the more liability and risk you take on in finance, and I didn't really like that either. And so I had actually always wanted to be a developer. I'd always wanted to be a programmer since the time I was a little kid, and I was playing with computers in the 90s and checking out books from the library about code and that kind of thing. But at the time, so this was like, in the 2000s, I always thought that you had to get a degree in computer science in order to go into programming. Because at the time, there really wasn't like much of a concept of like a self-taught developer. And there wasn't, I mean, this was pre-YouTube, Pluralsight, things like that when I was figuring all this stuff out. And so I started in college as a computer science major, but my first couple semesters involved zero code. It was only calculus and physics. And so I kind of like washed out of that because I just didn't want to do it. I actually really regret that. I wish I had stayed in computer science and hung in there. But I was 19. I can't. What are you going to do? So so yeah, I ended up going down like a liberal arts path, doing history and religion and philosophy and things like that, and got a really good, well-rounded education. Did a lot of really cool things in college around that, and then of course it came time to graduate and actually like make a living in the world. And this was right before the 2008 recession. And so I got into finance. I started doing financial planning stuff, worked for an insurance company, that kind of thing. And then while I was working at this stock brokerage, I was kind of getting discontent with everything. I was talking to some of the programmers. I'd become like friends with a lot of the programmers at this brokerage. And I told them, like, I always wanted to be a programmer, but I never got my computer science degree. And like 4 out of 5 of them were like, I don't have a computer science degree, and like a couple of them were like, I never finished college, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't know that was possible. And so they actually like are a huge part of my like career trajectory, because a couple of them, like, I mean, I'm friends with most of them still. And a couple of them really kind of took me under their wing and like would give me resources, like got me access to Pluralsight and started like giving me projects to work on and review my code and that kind of thing. And like I really started learning like C# and JavaScript and that kind of thing. And that's what led to then like actually becoming a developer. And I got my first full-time job. I moved to Portland, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. You make me think about a little bit my career path. I mean, like I started in tech and I always work in tech, so that was my first choice, and I stick to it. But when I went out from high school and they were like, okay, now you need to choose what you're going to do at college, because you need to study something that you're going to do the rest of your life. I was kind of lucky because I decided tech, but it was 25 or 26 years ago. And I went to college and I had all those courses that like I didn't care about. Like I just wanted to do like software development, but they were giving me like philosophy and in my case French courses and maths and all those things that I like. I'm not good with school whatsoever, so I dropped out and I continued to work in my student job. I was working at a bowling, and that's an interesting job for someone social because like it's a nice job. You talk to people, you have like the usual customers that are part of the league like every week, and it's kind of nice. But with all respect from people working in the bowling, in my point of view, I was like, no, I really want to work in tech. I don't want to work in the bowling the rest of my life. But at that time, you needed the diploma because like too many people went in tech. That was after the dot-com bubble. Nobody would take you seriously even if you were able to, even if you were capable to code like without a diploma. And no matter the diploma, they just wanted a diploma. So I went to do something that there was no equivalent someplace, but it's a mix between like adult school and college. So you get a college degree, but it was only software development courses. So it's an official diploma that exists where I live. It's called an attestation d'études collégiales in French. I don't even know what it's called in English, but it was just software. Like it was the equivalent of doing the college degree, but without any other courses than like software development. And I end up with like that official diploma from my government. And I was able to get the first job. And it was the first and the last time that someone asked me about my diplomas, because in tech, after you get experience, like usually nobody care that much. There's still jobs out there that's going to ask you like a university degree, but even them, they do not care. Like I had jobs where it was part of like the job description. And if you have enough to have a university diploma, but if you have enough experience, they just didn't care much. But all that said, I'm gonna sound like a old man saying like, oh, in my time that was different, but it's true. Like in my time, you needed that formal diploma, and I find it fantastic now that like you can do boot camp, you can be a self learner as long as you can prove to potential employer that you can do the job. You have a chance at finding a job. So that's like whole self saying like, hey, it's a good thing. I love that, and I wish it would have been the same in my time. It's fine, but it's just nice now. It's just nice now that people can do that. Like the tech industry is a little more open to that, and there's so much need that it would have been stupid to like prevent like good developer to like become an employee because they don't have like a formal diploma.
Yeah.
Speaking about that, I one of the other thing, like there's a couple of things I love about your story, but when I talk to people in devrel, developer advocates, like the discussion always end up with like, yeah, there was no clear path for a developer advocate. Like you become a developer advocate and there's no career ladder, there's no clear path. And I was looking before the show at your LinkedIn because I don't know all your story. And I love what happened at OutZero, where you basically like, you started like as you said, like writing content. And after that, you become an advocate. But like you went from like senior developer advocate to manager developer relation to entering head of developer marketing and director developer advocacy. Wow, my God, you had a lot of titles. And director developer advocacy channel and programs. Meaning that like for me, there is a clear path about like, hey, you had a next step. It's not possible in all companies, but it was possible. OutZero was, I guess, big enough to do that. So would you like to share a little bit about that, like that career path that you had? I think it would be interesting for people to learn a little more about that.
Sure. Yeah. I think that was something we really got right in Auth0, devrel, and then Okta, once we got acquired, was like we really worked hard to develop a career path with like a ladder, and it sort of had two branches. There was like the IC, individual contributor path that went from, regular dev advocate through, senior and staff and principal and that kind of thing. And then we also had the management path that was sort of like manager, senior manager, director, that kind of thing. And so we worked really hard to like flesh that out over a couple of years so that there was like clear expectations and clear ways of advancing your career, which is hard to do in devrel. It can be really ambiguous and hard to like set expectations and that kind of thing. So we put that together over the course of a couple of years, and I think it did a lot of good. We went through a really interesting time through the acquisition where we were originally a startup, and I joined when we were a Series C, and then when we were acquired, all of a sudden we were part of a publicly traded company, and so there was a lot more scrutiny and oversight and regulation and that kind of thing. And so we had to. I tell people we were sort of like a year ahead of the rest of the market for devrel, like the rest of the industry, because we had to get all of our ducks in a row like really quickly because of the acquisition, where there was a lot of like, okay, what do these people do, and what's their value proposition and that kind of thing, which I think that was kind of around 2021, and then I think right around 2022 is when all of the wheels started falling off of the like zero interest rates, and the economy, and sort of the other shoe dropped from COVID and all that. And so we saw sort of like lots and lots of waves of like tightening in devrel and the industry and all of that stuff. And so um, I mean, we still ended up having a big layoff like everybody else, and I was part of that, along with like
Sorry about that.
30% of our organization. So we didn't dodge it completely, but the fact that we had, I mean, nearly all of the positions that I created as a director or a manager are still there, and so I take great pride in that. Not all of them, like some of them were part of the layoff, but a lot of the ones that I created during
It's
sort of
amazing.
that like interim time, and a lot of the people that I converted from contract to full time and that kind of thing are still there. So like we did accomplish something, like we didn't lose the department, we didn't lose the team. We did lose 20% of us or whatever, but like the bulk of the people are still standing, and I take a lot of pride in that, and it wasn't just me. I mean, there was a lot of people sort of involved in that process of different parts of the leadership team and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, so yeah, it was kind of an interesting journey on trying to make devrel I don't know, legit, like really
Mhm.
prove the business value and really align on metrics and things like that. We worked a lot with our VP of devrel, Cliff, and he did a lot of good for us of putting that stuff together and working with the leadership team and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. Acquisitions are usually not always easy. There is
No.
whatever you want to do, there is layoff most of the time, depending on the size of the company. But yeah, no, the fact that like most of the people that were part of your team remain, it's also a kind of like a testament about the importance that the company saw in developer relation, but also the impact that the folks had. Which I'm not saying actually. While I was saying that, I was like, I'm not saying that the people that got laid off were not impactful or didn't have an important role. It's just like it's part of like how business works after an acquisition most of the time. But yeah, no, you need to be proud about what you achieve. Um, a little more curious about what you do right now. It's quite recent. It's been let me check, 5 months. You've been at Ryder. You're now director of developer relation. What does that mean? What are you doing? What's your role right now?
Yeah, it's only been 4 months, which is crazy because it feels like everything moves so fast that it feels like a lot longer. But yeah, after the layoff, I really decided what I wanted to do was build devrel from scratch for an AI startup or an AI company, and so I was doing a lot of interviews for that. And what really drew me to Writer was that first of all, has real paying customers. It's got an enterprise focus, and so it's working with large Fortune 500, Global 2000 companies, and doing, solving real problems with generative AI. So that was one thing that really drew me to it. It's also been around for a while. It's been around since, like in this incarnation. It was founded in 2020. The founders have actually been working together before that, and so it's not just like a result of the ChatGPT hype. Like we were doing natural language processing and other things like before all of that, and so that also was really important to me. It's also not a ChatGPT wrapper. It's like its own product. We build our own models from scratch. We have a great platform. So it ticked all of the boxes for me. Of like, and of course also has a great culture and that kind of thing. And so it ticked all those boxes of like, okay, this is a legit company with real paying customers, and also, so the reason they hired me is that in recent months, we've started an entire developer motion. So previously it was all kind of like managed enterprise sales and that kind of thing. And then in June, we launched this entire developer platform. And, we're starting this whole developer marketing motion and developer relations motion and that kind of thing. And so I was brought in to build that program out, build that team out. And so at the moment, I'm flying solo. I'm like doing sort of all the DevRel things at once, because I'm trying to get a feel for where everything is at and what the right moves are and what the right organizational structure looks like and that kind of thing. So that's really cool. I sort of straddle product and marketing. I actually started in marketing and then got moved to product, which I think was actually the right call, because where we're at as a company and in our developer motion, we have a lot of work to do on all the foundational stuff, developer experience and documentation and guides and tutorials and, all of those things, where you can have the best developer marketing in the world, but if you have bad developer experience, none of it matters. You can send millions of people to your website, and then if they have a bad experience, they just leave. So I spend about, I don't know, 60% of my time doing developer experience work on docs and tutorials and that kind of thing. And then sort of the other 40% working with the marketing team, especially sort of like my counterpart in product marketing. And we do a bunch of work on paid ads and nurture campaigns and all of that stuff that I was doing a lot of at Okta before I left. And so it's great. There's a lot. AI, I mean, it's moving way fast. It's infinitely faster than doing DevRel at an identity and security company, which was a little bit of a shell shock in the beginning. It was definitely a big change in pace, but it's been awesome. Like, as I've gotten more accustomed to it and kind of getting through the learning curve and all of that, there's a lot of really cool challenges, and we just have a really great story to tell. And so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm interested about to learn more about Rider and your product. We're going to demo it later because I did not know the company, but to be honest, I don't keep tab that much on like AI stuff happening in the world right now. And with the name, when you reach out to me for the show, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, now he's doing technical writer, like technical writing, like it moved to a new role. Like I didn't know with the name of the company, so I usually don't check like much more like what is the product or the company of the guest if I don't know it, because I want to be that newbie and the demo was gonna like learn the information as a new person. So we're gonna get to it really soon. Just before, sorry my friend, I missed some comments. Kumar, my friend, it's been forever. I hope life is good. And yeah, so you're gonna have a new reader for your book, at least one more. Kumar's gonna check your book. And this is true. It should be. Coder said the formal education requirement is still a thing in different industries, also different parts of the world. I totally agree. Usually when I say things, it's really North American based, because like this is where I live and this is where my experience is. So you should never take what I say as like generic standard statements. But the good news though, or depending on how you see that, but from my point of view, the good news is that I feel like it's less and less the case, even outside of North America, even outside the US or Canada where I live. but it's true that like it's still a thing elsewhere. And last comment from our coder that is listening to us, developer experience is king. I kind of agree with that. This is what you were saying. Like, if you have a bad experience, you may have like the best product out there. If like people don't know how to use it, if you don't get a great experience out of it, it's not going to work. So this is a little bit part of our job, trying to help people being successful, and we hope they're going to be successful with our product. But we're there to help folks being successful. Uh, More kind of like a generic question for you that I like to ask once in a while, just because I want to have like different perspective from developer advocates or people in developer relation. Now you've been doing that for, you said, 6 years. It's starting to be a long time, 6 years doing developer advocacy. So, generic question: what do you like the most in your role, and what are the things that, like, yeah, if you could hire someone to do it for yourself, you wouldn't be too sad about it?
Yeah, so on the first one, I mean, what I like doing is being able to help developers be better at their job, essentially. Like I think we have a really big impact on developers, just helping them in the day to day. The goal of devrel is really that you don't want them to be thinking about your product that much. It's sort of counterintuitive compared to regular marketing. Like, you want to become sort of invisible, that like it works so well and they always get the help they need so quickly that they're not frustrated with it. They're just working with it and getting help. And I always look at as devrel and dev marketing as basically just becoming friends with developers and helping them out and being reliable. And that's what I like to do. I like to, I live for the, you go to a conference and somebody comes up to you and is like, oh man, like the thing you wrote really helped me. I had this gnarly issue at work and I got through it and I really appreciate that. Like that's why we're doing this stuff,
And I
and
would
then
say,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
I'm cutting you, but I would say like, I'm like, we're still gonna do your job if nobody comes to us and said like thank you. But the instance of like people doing so is rare versus the number of people who's gonna have a great experience but won't tell us, or the people that
Right.
will complain about shit. So like, if you see us at events, if you're connected on social media, you liked the article we wrote, you think that our documentation is doing well, you like the live stream or whatever like we do in our capacity, do like Sam just said, like just say thanks. It doesn't cost money, and seriously, it's so nice. It's not about like just our ego and say like, oh, we're so good, we've done something great, but because of the nature of the job, because I'm gonna say it, developers, we're really good at complaining and shit, and we do that quite often. So I would say more often than not, what we're gonna see is like more negative feedback. It's like, oh, your product sucks, or like this documentation is unclear, or this or that. So having people that tell you like, hey, good job, if it was just like a thumbs up, maybe I'm preaching for my own stuff, but like it's again, it's nice once in a while and doesn't cost much. So I'm glad you bring that up, because I think it's important that people do us, not just us, like every other professional you see. Like, if someone do something nice or something that is helpful for you in your job or in your day-to-day life, just a small thank you is a great gesture. But now I feel like I'm patronizing folks by saying that, but I felt like I had to say something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, and also for me personally, like as I progressed in my career, like I actually get a lot more out of like building a team around that, and empowering, because really I get a lot more out of like having my team members, my employees, my direct reports that get that kind of, recognition, like growing their career and um, like helping them do great work to help as many
Yeah.
developers as possible. Like that's actually really where I am happiest, is like leading a team, like building a team, growing a team, and having and getting them wins, and promoting them and helping them be successful.
Yeah, I,
Um,
I agree. I agree. I don't have a team right now. I'm an individual contributor. I like doing the job. Don't get me wrong. I would not do it if I don't like to do it. But I also feel at a point in my career where like I've done this long enough. I've been doing this for like 12 or 13 years now, developer relation. And again, I still love it. But as you said, what I love even more is to help other people being successful. That's part of why I do that job. And now, like helping people in
Right.
my team be on stage and like be the person who's going to talk about stuff, like help them being successful. It's something that I really enjoy. And global nerdy, and I wasn't sure when I saw nerdy, like global nerdy. I was like, maybe it's Joey, but I wasn't sure because it's not like the accordion guy. But I was like, yeah, no, it's it's Joey
Yeah.
for sure because we like complaining because we learned from compiler error and Joey is using like Quebecois swearing word tabarnak. You try to difference in the winter. Now I know it's you. Joey, so thanks for joining the show, and thanks also for sharing about the show. Joey is, Joey, you work with him at
Yeah.
O0. I work with him. When I started being a developer advocate at Microsoft, can you believe? 2011. Joey Davila and myself working at Microsoft, trying to do open source, open data, and like just trying to make Microsoft a better place because that was not quite easy at the time. But we had a great team, we had a blast. So thanks, Joey, for joining and helping with the promotion of the show. And Sam, we talk about the positive side. It's not that I'm negative and I'm complaining about everything also, but with every jobs or every career, there's things that we like a little less. So I'm just curious if you want to share what are the things that you may be a little less excited about when it comes to developer relation.
Well, the one of the best things I ever did at Auth0 was hire someone to coordinate events and event sponsorships, and she's still there, and she's the secret weapon of the organization. And so that's the main thing. Like for me, handling sponsorship logistics and contracts and booth assets and shipping and all of that stuff is like not my strong suit. I mean, I can do it. I've got enough experience that I can do it. And I had to do it for the AI Engineer World's Fair. Well, I had a couple of people helping, but I had to pull together a lot of it myself. And I really missed her. I really missed having her because she was so on top of things all the time. And so like, I think that's one of the most underrated things you can do if you're building a DevRel team is let people work in their strong suits. There are people who are fantastic at doing administrative and like event planning and like that kind of thing. And so it's way better to hire somebody who can execute that really well than try to cobble it together yourself, And so it's not always an overlapping skill set, somebody who's good at teaching or managing or something like that. It's not always going to be the person who can like chase down contracts and manage, organizational stuff with ordering swag and shipping it all over the world and that kind of thing. So that is for sure the number one thing for me.
Yeah, and I think it's a sign of like a good leader also to recognize like the thing that either you're not good at or you don't like to do, or you're okay, but someone else would be better to do it. As you said, like you can organize event, you can ship stuff because you've done it, but like that person seems to be sorry about that, but she seems to be better at doing it than you
Oh
are,
yeah,
and she seems
100%.
to like it. Like if she's still doing the job, like I hope she likes what she's doing, and I felt like you didn't really like to do that. Also, as you said, it's not your strong suit. So recognizing that and trying to build a team where like you can use everybody's strengths. I think it's also important part of like a manager, director, or leadership role and developer relations. Yeah, good job on that. Awesome. So as I say in most shows, we are two DevRel people. We could talk forever about DevRel things, career tips, and stuff. It's been a little more than 30 minutes. As much as I would love to continue talking to you, I think it's the demo time. So we're going to learn a little more about the AI Writer Studio. Did I get it right?
Yeah, Writer AI Studio. Yeah.
Wonderful. So I want to learn more about it because I have no idea what's the product. So showtime, tell us what it is, why we should use it, and
Yeah.
a little demo would be amazing too.
Yeah, let me share my screen here. I'll move this window around and do a quick little.
And during the time you place your stuff, let me thank again sponsor of the show. It's CubeFirst. It's my employer. That's a good sponsor to have, but they're really supportive about the devrel show and let me do this during my working hour, which is pretty nice. And yeah, if you are in the cloud native space, go give it a try. CubeFirst.io. It's a free open source platform, GitOps platform that's going to help you to have all the tools you need to be successful with that beast that is Kubernetes. So on that note, enough talking about myself. Let's learn more. Let's learn. Oh my God, I have a sloppy speech today, but let's learn more about Writer and what you do.
Yeah. So Writer, like I said, we started in natural language processing and things like that, and that's where the name comes from. And we also kind of started in doing marketing and copy and that kind of thing. But it's actually really evolved into this full stack, fully integrated platform for building AI applications focused on enterprise. So whether that's digital assistance or text generation or data analysis, and it really is composed of several different pieces. So I mentioned that we actually build our own state-of-the-art LLMs, large language models. It's a family called Palmyra that are really focused on business use cases. They're trained on data around business use cases. And then we have this approach to retrieval augmented generation called knowledge graph. It's basically, for folks who aren't familiar, it's where you're bringing in outside data to hand off to the LLM in order to get more context for what you're asking. And so we have this really great approach called knowledge graph. That's this graph-based RAG. Then we also have AI guardrails for enforcing regulatory and compliance rules. And then we have our big platform, which is called AI Studio, which has a no-code side and a code side that I'll show here in a second. And then for kind of the enterprise managed sale kind of situation, we also do a lot of program management where we work really closely with customers and help them with actually building or implementing these flows and applications and that kind of thing to actually really drive ROI. Like, we're really, really big on real return on investment of AI. We're sort of living through this hype cycle and sort of this, is there an AI winter coming and that kind of thing. And we're actually seeing, like, every single day at Writer, our customers doing amazing things with AI. So I just wanted to show real quick kind of the different parts of the platform. There's another way of thinking about this is sort of like we have the underlying technology, which is like the LLMs, the RAG, the guardrails, and then this platform where we're handling the infrastructure side and what's called inference, which is where you're actually sending queries to large language models. And then on top of that, we have sort of like the business side of like pre-built applications, and then the Writer AI Studio side. So let's just look at that really quick. So on the kind of pre-built side, we have these kind of built-in applications like Ask Writer, which is sort of a chat application kind of thing. Things like recapping YouTube transcripts, that kind of thing. And those are sort of all like pre-made things that are just like ready for you out of the box. But for developers, we have this platform called AI Studio, which is composed of a few different pieces. We have a no-code side for business users to be able to create like text generation or chat apps super fast. And then we have on the developer side this thing called Writer Framework, which is a Python framework for building AI applications super fast, as well as an API and SDKs. So I'll just show the Writer Framework really quick because I just want to get to code as fast as possible for this audience. So this is an example. This is a financial research dashboard that uses we have an LLM called Palmyra Fin, which is a domain-specific model for finance. And so we built this financial research dashboard application where it will pull in stock data from Yahoo Finance and then analyze that data, summarize earnings calls, things like that. And that's all been built in Writer Framework. So Writer Framework basically has this drag and drop UI builder, where you can drag in different components and like configure them with properties and that kind of thing. and then bind them to event handlers or click handlers, things like that. And so that's for building the UI really quickly. But then it also has this entire Python backend that's just Python. It's not like an abstraction. It's not a domain specific language. It's just the full Python ecosystem. Like here, I'm importing the pandas library for doing like data work. And so we have this built-in editor that you can do this with. And then you can also use it with whatever your favorite IDE is. So like I have this actually running in Visual Studio Code. And so you can see over here on the left, it's just a Python application. It's using Poetry for dependency management. And we have our prompts in a separate file that we can then import into the main file. And yeah, you can build these applications super fast so that you can, come over here, click earnings call. It's going to send over the transcript to Palmyra Fin, which is our LLM, and it's going to summarize the earnings calls. Kind of takes a minute for the all the data to show up. But yeah, so Palmyra Fin just summarized this earnings report for Apple in a couple of seconds, And so all of these visualizations, everything, this is all part of Writer Framework, drag and drop, easy to configure. So that's one piece. We also have SDKs we have one for Python and then one for Node. So sort of backend JavaScript or TypeScript. So you can build with, if you want to build with Next.js and use our SDK on the back end, you can. I was playing around with Cloudflare workers the other day and getting the Node SDK working with Cloudflare workers so that you could obscure that from the front end and that kind of thing. And so if you want to learn more, we've got lots of documentation that we're building. I'd love for people to actually just like go try this out, play with it, give me feedback on the framework, the platform, the documentation. We've been building out tutorials on how to do this. I've got one that I wrote on building a release notes generator application where you like upload a messy CSV and it actually outputs like nice formatted HTML that's been summarized and that kind of thing. So it's a cool use case for developers. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love people to just like check it out, give me feedback and let me know what you think. But that's basically it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So yeah, people, if you want to try it, go on writer.com or hap.writer.com, AI Studio. Everything is there. If you have any question, I think there is one link to rule them all. Sam, how do you say your last name?
Julien. Yeah.
Julien. Yeah, I'm sorry because we have a lot of like French people that have like Julien as the first name, and like in French it's Julien. So
yeah,
I should ask people before the show how they pronounce their name, but go on that website. You're probably going to be able to find everything you need to contact Sam if there is any issue.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, because you flashed that sign up link. If you sign up, so the framework is free and open source, but then using the models is just like every other provider. Like you pay for usage like by token. But if you sign up with that link, you'll get $50 in API credits that you can use. So should be plenty for like experimenting, messing around, building something out. And I'd love to see what you build. Send me tweets, send me emails. Let me know what you build with the platform.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll give it a try. I'll let you know how it goes. So awesome. Thanks again for being on the show. And is there any last thing you want to share with people, either about Writer, your product, career advice, whatever you want to share? It's your time before we finish the show.
No, I love helping people figure out their DevRel career. So I'm always open to chat with people, give advice on what they're thinking about, either getting started in DevRel or sort of the DevRel career path, that kind of thing. I'm debating about, so I at some point I want to do a course called Growing in DevRel. I'm not sure if it'll be a course or a book, but I'm actually debating about turning that into like a Discord server and like having people just kind of chat in real time with me about things. And so if people are interested in something like that, let me know. Like if you're looking for a space to talk through DevRel career stuff, let me know, because I'm trying to manage like I feel like I have a lot of things that I want to continue to teach people and share with people. I'm also in a really odd stage of life where I've got a toddler and working for an AI startup, and so I don't have like loads of free time anymore. But I don't want that to stop me from being able to help as many people as I can. And so yeah, if people have feelings on that subject, let me know.
We have people that have feeling. Educoder is like, do it.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. So thanks for sharing. Thanks for giving back to the community also. I always say that it's kind of our duty after we have an experience in tech to start to give back to the community in a way or another. It could be like a Discord server, it could be writing blog posts, doing free coffee chat. I do that where people can like spend 30 minutes with me, discuss about everything and anything. I mean, like there is no way, and I'm going to do a generic statement here, but there is no way that like anybody in their career were able to be successful without having other people helping you. So I feel like at some point you also need to give back what you do. So thanks for doing that. And on that note, folks, I think it brings us to the end of the show. Thanks for joining live. Thanks for watching the recording. Thanks for commenting or just saying hi. As I said, I always appreciate those things. It's always a pleasure. We're going to see each other in 2 weeks. Next devrel show is not going to be on the usual Thursday at 3 p.m. because I'm going to be on my way at the airport. I'm going to go in Germany to CIVO Navigate. Super excited about that conference, CIVO Navigate. If you are in Berlin, let me know. I have some rebate discount for the conference. If you go to the conference, also ping me. I'm giving a talk on developer documentations, how to do great developer documentation. I don't remember the title exactly, but it's about how to do great developer documentations. It's going to be exciting. And yeah, that's going to be a nice trip too. Like I've been to Berlin before, but now what's going to be nice is that we bring everyone from Q1st to the Navigate. So it's also going to be a team offsite. Yeah, Iro is part of the team. Is like, yeah, we're gonna fly there and have a blast, hold the company together. That's gonna be amazing. So yeah, super long story about my life right now. Sorry about that, folks. I just went on a on a spree about that, but all that to say, the show is gonna be. I'm gonna announce that on social media, but it's gonna be on September the 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Because also my guest Ryan. London, and sorry, Ryan, if I didn't say your last name correctly, is in Australia. So that doesn't give us Canada and Australia doesn't give us a lot of like common time to have the show. So it's going to be at 6 p.m. my time on the 3rd of September. But yeah, still going be there, be strong, and have some fun talking about developer relation and all the things around. So with that super long ending of the show, thanks again, Sam, for being in the show. Thanks, everyone, and have a good rest of the day or beginning of the day, depending on where you live. And see you in about 2 weeks for the next devrel show.